what's up? It's Joe Raiti from Raiti's Rides. I am here at one of my favorite filming spot locations because guess what? Today is a special kind of day. And it's all because of this car right here. What is it? It's a 2023 Porsche 911. It doesn't just stop there. This is a 911 GT3 Touring Edition. But before we get into this GT Silver spec'd naturally aspirated flat 6 911, let's talk about what's going on here. Porsche. When you want to win on the racetrack, you get your phone out and you dial 911. No, you're not going to get a fire truck or an ambulance. You're going to get the German brand's ultimate when it comes to performance cars. Now, what's interesting is that the 911 has been around since 1963, if you could believe that. And boy, over the years, have there been a lot of changes in the auto industry, but the 911 seems to have truly evolved rather than had a revolution. Now, what's fascinating is when we get through the different generations, this particular generation is known as the 992. If you go by your normal 911, which that would just be a 911 Carrera, you would have a twin turbocharged 3-liter flat 6. Now, don't think of the 911 Turbo. That has a totally different engine, totally different turbos. If you want naturally aspirated flat 6 power, the only way to go is GT3 Touring, or you could go and break the bank, of course, and go GT3 RS and that new 911 ST. But what I want to find out is if you're looking for a pure driving experience and you're not looking for a special edition, because remember the 911 ST, that's one of just 1,963 that they're going to make. When you look at a GT3 Touring, yes, they don't just blow these out of the factory because all GT3 cars are very limited, but it's not as limited as the 911 ST. What I want to find out is this the best sports car, hands down, ever built with a manual transmission that you should be buying? Let's go ahead, let's dive into our iconic GT Silver and find out. Right off the bat, the color. Back in the original racing days, silver was the official nationality color of Germany. And when you look at other brands, if you were Italian based, it would be Ferrari. And if you hear those sirens, somebody dialed 911, but not for our reasons. That was for a different reason. But let's get back to our 911. So that iconic GT Silver color, when you look at the front of the business, no longer do we have round headlights, but they do a damn good interpretation of that classic design. A little bit on the oval shape. You'll notice our individual quadrant of daytime running lamps, and then we have that LED projector beam headlight. This one has the active adaptive headlights that actually move with the steering wheel. And then you'll notice we have our LED turn signals mounted much lower. Now the GT3 and the GT3 Touring gets a specific nose that, guess what, is functional. If you notice on the corners here, you are going to have full functionality for aero. And on the GT3 Touring, everything is painted body color. On a GT3, this is all going to be flat black. But as you can see, on a GT3 Touring, it's all body colored. We have some flat black on the splitter. And then as we come across that low slung nose, I absolutely fall in love every time I see the front of this vehicle. You have this large wire mesh open area for all the heat exchangers. This has a total of 3 radiators, believe it or not. And then of course, you have other compartments behind the wire mesh that are going to be there for brake cooling and other aerodynamic efficient needs. Now, what's fascinating is they took a lot of this body style from the mighty 911 RSR race car, including, for the first time ever on a 911, a double wishbone suspension right off the 911 RSR race car. That's what Porsche does. They win on the racetrack, and then they take all that great engineering and bring it to their road cars. You'll notice on our full carbon fiber hood, you have the Porsche crest, nice flush mounted there, all that history. And then you're gonna have these functional outlets for aerodynamics that still have the same wire mesh as up front. You're gonna have it on that twin outlet area. As the flow of air comes in, air is gonna come out over that beautiful GT silver hood. Of course, we have a totally usable front mounted trunk underneath that hood. And then as we coast around the corner, here's where things get really crazy. Of course, on all GT cars, you're gonna get that center locking lug nut, just like their race cars. And I like the way that on the GT3 Touring, it's got the silver crest. Really balances nicely with our bright silver wheels. And remember, Porsche is one of those brands that you could change and choose a plethora of different wheel colors. The bright silver, dark gunmetal gray, satin black, or even like a bronze finish. This is a 20-inch wheel up front, 21-inch wheel out back. We have the standard bright red Brembo 6-piston calipers with the steel rotors. You can option carbon ceramic rotors if you're gonna do more track duty. But as you can see, you're still getting a rotor that's well over 15 inches in diameter. We have PASM. What the hell's that? Porsche Adaptive Suspension Management System. This GT3 Touring sits lower than your standard Porsche 911, and then it has the adaptive dampers all four corners to give you the best in handling, but also in ride and comfort. And one of the things I want to just get rid of right off the bat here, when you hear Touring, that doesn't mean that this is a softened up GT3. This is a GT3 basically without the rear wing. So don't think when you see a Touring, you're like, oh, that's one of those softer ones. No, 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 no. It's for people who want the more classic 911 shape, also want the naturally aspirated race car performance, but don't want the rear wing. And if you remember back in 2016, for the 991.1, Porsche did make a 911R. So that was something that only was a manual and did not have a rear wing. So something to think about. But I love this particular one, the bright silver with the GT silver metallic. You see it's fully cross-drilled rotor, two-piece rotor, massive German pizza style. Coming down the side, of course, you're gonna have your fuel filler door because we have a front-mounted fuel tank, just like the original 1963 Porsche 911. And yes, over the years, the 911 has grown in size, but still the proportions are so sexy. You'll notice the optional Porsche script on the side. I like that extra touch, especially with the GT Silver. And on the 992s, this was the first time that we see a flush mounted door handle. So when you go to unlock the door and open it, it pops out. But we can see it's nice and flush. Now, another interesting thing about the GT3 Touring is it's all about the classic look. So not only is there no big wing out back, you'll notice around the glass openings, we have the bright, shiny metalwork trim, just like the original 1963 Porsche 911. You also get the lighter plexiglass. So you get the thinner glass, just like the GT3, but you're having that more classic shape with that bright, shiny metalwork. We look at the rears. 255s up front. Out back, we have 315s. 315s, 21-inch wheel. So 21-inch wheel, 21 inches in diameter. And you'll notice we have 4-piston Brembos out back. Of course, we have an electronic limited slip diff. And guess what? Lucky day, we have a 6-speed manual transmission in this one. Now, as we rise up and we come around, one of my favorite parts of this 911 is that sexy flared fender. Look at that. I just want to rub my hands all over that thing. Looks phenomenal. We need that wider rear end because of the wider tires. And then you'll see that we have our rear venting area, that same wire mesh, GT3 Touring badge. And then we have our active spoiler. So once you get up to speed around 45, 50 miles an hour, this pops up. And then when you slow back down, it comes back down for that nice clean look. Love the way they do all of the LED lighting, turn signals, brake lights. The red goes all the way across. You got your Porsche script, bright silver. And then working your way down, one of the best looking rear bumper areas, especially this massive rear diffuser that looks like it's plucked right off of the 911 RSR. We have stainless steel slash cut tips because this is a GT3 Touring. If you got a GT3, a lot of the touches I'm pointing out, like the Porsche script and the exhaust, everything would just be black. But because we're trying to blend in sports car performance of today, but with the classic look of a 911, that's why, and you could change this if you want to. The crazy thing is there's pages upon pages of options and modifications that you could choose right from the factory for your 911 GT3 Touring. But absolutely love the rear end of this car. Why don't we go ahead? This is a rear engine car, the only one in the whole world built today where the engine sits past the rear axle. Let's see if we could find out and take a peek of it and pop the rear engine cover and talk about the horsepower. All right, guys, we got the rear engine hatch open. The bummer and the big zonk for any modern 911 is you can't see that rear engine. But on the GT3 Touring, you actually can open up the rear hatch and see the twin fans, electric fans, obviously 4.0. That's not your grade point average. You wish it was, but what you have is that 4-liter flat six naturally aspirated engine. So let's talk about that a little bit. It's 502 horsepower, 346 pound-feet of torque. It's got 6 individual throttle bodies for the flat six. 6-speed manual is standard. You can option a 7-speed PDK. 0 to 60 with the manual, if you know how to do the dance, 3.4 seconds. Quarter mile, 11.5 seconds at 125 miles an hour. And then you're looking at a top speed, because we don't have the massive rear wing of a GT3, it's actually a higher top speed, 199 miles per hour. The vehicle weighs 3,241 pounds. MPGs, if you really care about that, I'll get your Prius. You're looking at 14 in the city, 18 on the highway. And of course, we can't forget that the GT3 Touring has rear wheel steer. So to help you really carve through those twisty bits, like a Thanksgiving Day turkey, we got rear wheel steer that quickens up the steering and makes easy child's play of any twisty road. But why don't we go ahead, let's fire up this flat six and hear what kind of noise it makes. All right, guys, we're inside this 911 GT3 Touring. I know you're saying to yourself, well, Joe, I've been wanting to get myself a ultimate kind of sports car. My last kid finally moved out. It only took 31 years, and he finally moved out. So now it's time for me to treat myself to something special. I've been looking at a Z06. I just thought these 911 GT3 Tourings were so hard to find. How much is it? Well, first of all, congratulations, being an empty nester. 31 years is a long time away. And you're right, the GT3 Touring is going to be a little harder to track down, but I think the market now is sort of flattening out just a little bit when it comes to availability of cars. If you want to go the GT3 Touring route, it starts at $168,000 and then sky's the limit. So something to think about when you're adding the options. But let's see what this one has and really how it stacks up to the Z06. If you're ready, I'm ready. To the door panels. You'll notice full leather everywhere. Silver, that's GT silver contrast stitching. And you see sort of like that textured leather material. They actually did that on purpose to make it look like the original 911s from the 60s. You actually get 2 door pockets, a smaller one in the middle for 8 Twinkies, and then if you have some Pop-Tarts, you could put those up front. Now going from the door panel to the dash, love that leather, the way they did it classic style with the GT silver, and it has aluminum trim, real black aluminum trim. This is where your cup holder is for your passenger. If this was my 911, you're not drinking in it. So you could put your bottle of Yoo-Hoo as you're eating your Pop-Tarts, and that closes right up. Leather all over the glove compartment, and then you slide on in. What do we have? Well, up top we have the chronograph sport clock with the white finish, and then you'll notice we have the 10.2-inch infotainment system. wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto, navigation. It goes without saying. I wanted to show you this screen because this is the most important. You can change your drive modes, shut your auto blip on and off, the sport exhaust. You can even pop up the spoiler. You're driving around the beach and you want to look cool, you can make the spoiler pop up very easily. Coming down, we have real toggle switches. This is for axle lift, which that's an option that this one has. Your suspension, the PASM, and then you can shut off your stability control and shut off both, including traction control. Love the way they did the AC vents, classic 2 and 911. We have metal toggle switches for your dual climate control. And then this is where the magic happens, 6-speed manual transmission. Now remember, this manual transmission is totally different than what's in a 911 Carrera T, Carrera S, or even a GTS, because they have a 7-speed. This is the race box 6-speed manual. Nice short throws, crisp engagement, probably the best manual transmission currently offered in the auto industry. GT silver stitching, you got a nice little GT3 badge. Cup holder, which is kind of odd. The cool thing is that you could actually take this out if you want to, which is nice. Aluminum trim everywhere. My big zonk is the gloss black. This gloss black is here to stay. You can't do anything with it. There's no trim to change out. It's just there, and that really is not my favorite. But what is nice, you have leather on the armrest. Open this up, a place for your iPhone 45 Platinum Edition, 2 USB-Cs, and then this has the one-piece carbon fiber race bucket seats. It's got the Porsche crest in the headrest, the GT silver stitching. On the Touring, instead of getting the race text, which is Alcantara, you get this grippy classic cloth material with the leather and more stitching. And then look at what we have. Guards red seat belts worth an additional 5 horsepower. And then you'll notice the rear seat is totally removed to cut weight. There's really no reason to have a rear seat in a 911 anyways. And you got the plexiglass rear window for lightness, and then race text material all over the headliner, even on the A-pillars. But why don't you come over to the business end? I want to show you behind this very special steering wheel in this 911 GT3 Touring. All right, guys, business time behind the wheel of this 911 GT3 Touring. You'll notice the black aluminum finish with the GT3 script there. Pedal box right out of a 911 RSR race car. Aluminum spec pedals all the way across, clutch, brake. Obviously, pedal placement is perfect for heel-toe downshifting, and you have an aluminum dead pedal. And then you'll notice the only electric control that you have on these carbon fiber bucket seats is to raise the height a little bit. Everything else is just manual, and they're one piece. So the way the back is the way the back is. Getting in is a little cumbersome. Once you're in, it feels so good in here. I don't even want to get out. Steering wheel, leather all the way around. If you go GT3, this would be race text. But look at the way they do the special stitching with the GT Silver. You have your drive mode selector switch. They hollow out the spokes. My zonk is I wish they didn't do the stupid controls for your infotainment system and for the voice command controls. I wish it was just blank, because this is a GT3 Touring. Manual tilting and telescoping steering wheel. You have your key ignition on the left side. It's been like that since day one. And then of course, we have our full dash. Looking good, nice large tachometer, white face finish, looking fantastic there. And of course, that 9,000 RPM red line. Look at that needle. I freaking absolutely love that. All the digital gauges flanking out. And the way that they shaped that was to look just like the original gauge cluster layout. But why don't we go ahead, like I said, there's no backseat to look at. Let's look underneath the front mounted trunk, because I'm ready to go on throttle in this GT3 Touring. All right, guys, this is the last piece of the puzzle, and then you know what? We're going freaking on throttle in this GT3 Touring. Popped up the hood. I wanted to show you this because this is actually pretty cool. First of all, you'll see our dry weave carbon fiber, and just because it doesn't have the veneer finish over it, that's what makes it dry weave. You see these indentations? Porsche is the only car company that produces a carbon fiber hood. This is actually for pedestrian safety. So God forbid you hit somebody with this car while you're driving, this is actually going to help soften the blow by having these indentations throughout the whole hood. But I mean, the hood is super light, and then on top of it, even though you have race car performance, over 500 horsepower, you still got a usable frunk that you could put about 2 carry-on bags. Or if you're really having the munchies, you could put about 58 boxes of Twinkies in there. Yes, 58. Lori and I actually went, got them, they fit, it's certified, and that's it. But you know what? I hope you're ready and you got your Twinkie in your hand, because I want to take you in that passenger seat and go for an on-throttle spin in this 911 GT3 Touring. All right, guys, we're inside this 2023 Porsche 911 GT3, and right away, like I always say in these Porsche reviews, especially the 911, Porsche knows what they're doing. As soon as you slide in, you say to yourself, wow, this is exactly how I should be sitting when I'm trying to drive a sports car, especially if you're going to a track day or an autocross event or your favorite twisty road. This is how you should be positioned. I can see out the windshield perfectly, great view. I see the peaks of the fenders, just like they've been there since the mid-1960s. And this 6-speed manual transmission is a little piece of heaven. It's the best modern day transmission that I've ever driven. The best. And that sound of that flat 6 is the best sound, because it just makes the hair on the back of your neck just stand up. But are you ready? Because I'm ready. We're gonna go on throttle through some twists and some turns. God, I love this car. On throttle, here we go, whoa! Look at this. Nice. Everything is just so balanced, so smooth, so perfect. On throttle! Now, with this being a GT3 Touring, you do have the active rear wing, which I could actually see extends higher than any other 911 with that active duck bill spoiler, so to speak. The connection from the wheel to the axles of the front end is just harmonious. I know exactly what's going on. The clutch is right in that sweet spot where you want it, not too heavy, not too light, good pickup point. And the gearbox is just like click, 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 click. The throws are short, the engagement is super crisp. And man, the sound of that flat 6 with its 6 individual throttle bodies, just absolutely mind-blowing. To have that 4-liter naturally aspirated flat 6 doing the magic. Are you ready? Because I'm ready. On throttle, here we go. Rear wheel steer, helping me around the bends. Brakes feel fantastic. Look at this. Yeah, baby. All the way out to 9,000 RPM. Astronomical, just astronomical what this car is capable of and how it drives. Yes, the carbon ceramic buckets are not the best for daily driving, but that's not what this car is about. This car is about being one with it. And the carbon buckets, yes, they're a little uncomfortable sliding in, but once you're in, you feel like Cinderella wearing the glass slipper. I mean, they're perfectly conformed to my body. Love the way you have that analog tach right in the middle with that 9,000 RPM red line. The sound, man, the sound is where it's at on this thing. But yeah, having the rear wheel steer, massive brakes. Now you are with the Brembo brakes, with the steel rotors, you are gonna get some squeal from the pads, and there's just no way around that if you're going with the stock GT3 pads, because they are racetrack spec. Go to any racetrack, and when the cars are putt-putting around the paddock or coming into the pits, you're always going to hear that squeal from them, unless they're using carbon ceramic rotors. But it's interesting just how good the steel rotors are on the 911. Now remember, it's a $10,000 option if you want to step up to the carbon ceramic rotors, or like Porsche calls them, the PCCBs. Are you ready? Oh, here we go. Just let it go all the way up, man. Just look at this, look at this. Turning is so crisp. Because of that rear wheel steer, it's just, as soon as you think it, you're already turning in, and it's so smooth, so direct. I mean, obviously this is not a hydraulic steering rack, it's electric, but it's just like the gearbox, probably the best steering rack in a modern car, especially a modern sports car, performance car. But man, even when you're just driving slow in this thing, it feels so badass because of that GT3 spec 4-liter flat 6. Just absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. Actually gonna turn here. But the torque delivery is nice and smooth all the way through the rev range, because there's no turbochargers. And I tell you, it pulls all the way to redline, that's for sure. That is for sure. Are you ready? Because I'm ready. On throttle! Look at this. Here we go! Hunkered down. I mean, it's just the grip level, mechanical grip. And yes, you're getting road noise, you're getting wind noise, you're getting all those things because of the Lexan glass, thinner glass, less sound deadening material, all those different things are what's going to make it be more of a visceral experience. Another thing that's awesome is that with the rear wheel steer, U-turns are a piece of cake in this thing, which a lot of sports cars are not good at U-turns. This thing is killer. But I love the way that this one is spec'd. And I just love this car. I just love it. Love it. On throttle! Just like any other 911, real quick, get into the infotainment system, well within reach. I love having the toggle switches for your PASM That's that Porsche adaptive suspension management system, the front axle lift, and then of course the red seat belts. Easily worth an extra 5 horsepower, easy. But it's crazy that just because in the name it says Touring, people think that this is a softer GT3. It is not. It is the same as a regular GT3, the one with the wing. Same exact car, just with some different finishes, and of course the adapted rear spoiler that pops up at speed. But I'm hoping that this has been a special review for you. It's definitely been special for me. Always love getting behind the wheel of any 911, especially a GT3 Touring. We're gonna get back to where it all started, even though I don't want to, and wrap this one up. So I'll see you in a split second. All right, guys. It's one of those days that if you're a car enthusiast, this is the type of car that just makes your heart pitter-patter and makes the hair on the back of your neck stand up. Of course, we have to thank Porsche for continuing to build vehicles like these, because guess what? The days are numbered where they're not going to be doing it much longer. But let me know what you think. If you're looking for a pure sports car driving experience with that supercar capability, is this 911 GT3 Touring the way to go? Or are you going to go something like a Corvette Z06? Put your response down in that comment section. But if you're new to the channel and you're on your way out, hit that subscribe button. I promise you it's worthwhile. I'll come back for more. If you are a subscriber, thank you for being part of the Raised Reds family. Of course, we need to give it up to LG Raiti, working that camera like a champ. She does it no matter how much pain her body is put through, but she makes magic with that camera. So show her some love in the comment section. Thank you, Lori, for all that you do. And just like always, guys, I'll see you on the next ride.